Alright, guys, I'm recording this second time with Keltz. I'm really sorry, Keltz, again, because I did a mistake with sound. One time we had this mistake with Bruno, I think. I think I was talking with Ins for like 30 minutes or something, and then we realized that we are not recording or something like that. So I'm coming to you with interviews before QuakeCon. Keltz obviously gonna be probably the first one we're gonna update, and then we're gonna have 5 or 6 more, including Rapha and Kilson, most likely. So, as I said before, I would like to do a podcast with Keltz if he's up to afterwards, after the QuakeCon. I don't want to take a lot of his time, but I think he's super interesting player, especially because of his aim and how well he's playing. So I'm gonna repeat just few like most interesting questions for myself, and I will ask you, um, how how did you start with Quake in general?
Um, I started with Quake about like 5 years ago, I think, a bit
Mhm.
more. And the way I found it was that somehow I started, playing the closed, beta
Mhm.
back in like maybe like 2017, and
Yeah.
then I played maybe like I don't know like 5 games,
Mhm.
and then 1 year later I just simply I don't know I started playing the game because I wanted to play a new game, and like the
Mhm.
thing that kind of pulled me towards Quake was that it had fun combat,
Okay.
you know.
And
Just
at that time, like in 2017, didn't you try to qualify for like this $1 million tournament back then?
nah. Back then I did not really know anything about Quake. I
Mhm.
just simply played the deathmatch or like some insta game or something. I think
Mhm.
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
Um,
All right. I also ask you, like, how did your aiming talent came? It was natural, or did you train it? As you said, it was more natural. I actually personally believe that a lot of like your aiming is natural and you cannot really like improve it as much. I think you can play all the Kovacs and all the routines. I'm just not the biggest fan of it, but I already had discussion about it with Sirius. I would place you somewhere in between all those like aiming stars like Sirius, Tox, and few more players. Like, why do you think your aim is so good at the moment?
um, Actually, I don't think that I have that good aim compared to like some of the I don't know better aimers, but I can
Mhm.
hit. And I think the reason for this is just like very simple. I think when you have played games for so long,
Mhm.
because like I started playing maybe I don't know like 13 years
Ago, so you
ago
were.
or something. So like playing Counter Strike and Call of Duty and Battlefield and like Overwatch and like
Mhm.
all different games. It's just I don't know. It just taught me how to
Mhm.
move the mouse.
Yeah, how to
Uh,
control it.
yeah, it just I don't know. It just comes like naturally. I think.
So you basically never touched any kind of Kovac routines, like for a longer period of time, obviously, not like for a test,
Uh,
but you
nah,
you never
I
based
played
on
it like
that.
once maybe,
Mhm.
and like for me, the only way to gain something from those is like you have to play for like months. I think.
Yeah, I think
So
you need
it's
to be
you know.
regular and stuff. All right. I know there is some issue for very good aimers that, for example, some of them are really good with hit scans and not really with projectiles. So someone
Yeah.
has really good machine gun LG and not that good rocket or rail. How does it look for you? Like, what do you think is your weakest gun?
Um, my weakest gun, I'm not really sure because I feel like I am decent with all of them, but I
Hmm.
tend to use lightning gun the most, I think, just
Okay,
because you will always, do like some damage.
exactly.
It's like super consistent weapon, but
Hmm.
then also, I tend to use rockets, I tend to use rail,
Hmm.
lots of tri-bolt and shotgun and
It's
like
good.
everything.
Yeah, it's good to mix. Like,
Hmm.
you said, like one of your favorite players when you began was Tox, right?
Yeah.
It was because of his aim and movement and the way he
Uh,
played.
Yeah, I mean, like just watching talks was like just super fun because like he was mostly playing a slash, playing like
Hmm.
deathmatch or duels, and like like moving around so fast, hitting
Hmm.
so much, and just like doing these super cool moves.
Yeah. Like even his movement with Slash was like very orthodox. Sometimes he was like
Yeah.
sliding backwards
Hmm.
behind some angle, and it was really cool to watch as well. I don't know if you remember Wu and how the way he played
um
Anarchy back in the days in the beginning of Quick Champions.
I have seen some of his games,
Hmm.
but I don't know too much about him. But I have seen like some of his games, but it was like years ago now.
Hmm. His like movement with Anarchy was very fun. Like same with Tox and Slash
Hmm.
basically. Um, all right, so preparing for QuakeCon, how does your like normal schedule look like? How did you decide after qualifying? After going through the qualifiers, finally you get to the World Championship. And how did you start your preparation? Did you start it right away very hard, or you took it lightly? Like, do you like to play more, practice more, or you need your head to rest and be mentally ready, as we spoke?
Yeah, when I first qualified, I believe it was about like 4 months ago,
Hmm.
and I mean then like I think pretty like first 4 weeks or so, I
Hmm.
basically played nothing really,
Hmm.
mostly just chilling and just kind of just taking it slow really, and
Yeah.
then I started playing more and more, playing the weekly
Hmm.
cups a
Hmm.
lot,
Hmm.
and then just kind of like just simply playing can sometimes be like be just like just that
Just do
playing maybe
something,
like
yeah.
1 hour
Yeah.
each day, maybe like 2 hours, some days maybe like three, and then some days
Hmm.
maybe like nothing, like just playing some like here and there will just keep
Just to keep
your
up,
day
yeah.
really.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just to be able to focus. So you are not the biggest fan of the way how Kilson and Wenger practicing, so they got schedules of like 6, 8 hours per day, and you can burn out really fast.
Um, like I think some days I played maybe like 5 hours, maybe like 6 hours, but then it's just like it's too much sometimes because like
Mhm.
you're just playing and playing and playing, and like I think a lot about Quake is just kind of reacting and just kind of
Mhm.
having the right mental, like
Yeah,
not just kind of
yeah.
playing too much, but just kind of having a a clear mind and just kind of
Mhm.
focusing on the match and not really
Mhm.
grinding for like 10 hours a day and then like while reviewing and then going the
Mhm.
next day. I think just just playing like some hours can just be enough. You don't have to like overtrain.
I think so the same. Like I honestly don't know why, how they are pulling it off, because sometimes it feels like the more you play, the more sensitive you are for tilting and like not
Hmm.
reacting properly, because like the game already makes you tired throughout those weeks, and you are more sensitive to being
Yeah.
like angry and mad, and you cannot control your nerves as much. But maybe few days break before the tournament works for them. So I don't know, it's up to them. What do you think? Okay, so there's some people who not gonna make it to QuakeCon, so the
Hmm.
groups change like throughout last weeks. You are in the group with Dramis and Baxter.
Yeah.
uh, I already asked you how do you like, because those are two like different places. Baxter playing super
Yeah.
like heavy control and very like steady, like
Hmm.
not really fast tempo, and Dramis is doing very like different kind of stuff. Do you familiar with those styles? Did you play
Um.
Dramis?
Yeah. I mean, in the past, I have played both actually.
Hmm.
Drum is maybe like I don't know, like 5 times, 6 times or so, and usually it's
Hmm.
not that hard to play against. I mean, sometimes he will uh, hit like 100
Hmm.
percent rail, and then it's
Hmm.
hard. But usually, like I like to focus on just cycling the majors and the lights, and then
Mhm.
drummies will usually just kind of like run into you, or just
Mhm.
be careless, and then the
Mhm.
frags will just usually come
Come
when
by
you
its
just,
own. Yeah.
yeah, like
Okay.
it's usually just being careful and not taking like bad fights for me, and then good fights just like naturally happen, I feel like.
Mhm. Do you okay, so we got different kind of play styles. Both can work. For example, Rapha, where you are pushing all the items and you are playing
Yeah.
very aggressive on the items. Then you got Kilsen, who plays very slow. He doesn't even need to time items properly because he's just gonna know the order between heavy and mega, and he gonna try to stop you with the rail in between, then take item, catch you somewhere else. Where are you between them? Like, how would you describe yourself? Do you try to time all
um
the items? Only two of them? You playing more slow or more fast? Where you're closer to Rapha or to Kilsen with this kind of playstyle?
I think I like to do somewhat a mix of both, like just
Hmm.
kind of focusing on kind of cycling the items, but also being sort of passive, and just kind of
Hmm.
not really rushing fights, and
Hmm.
more so like just kind of spamming a bit,
Hmm.
focusing on taking the mega, cycling the lights, and then like
Hmm.
setting up in time, maybe sometimes pushing when there is a good reason to, or like when
Hmm.
when they have made some bigger mistake or something.
Mistake,
But
yeah.
usually I just kind of like focus on the items, because when you just
Hmm.
focus on the items, the game just becomes simpler almost, I feel like.
You kind of understand more what is going on the map, right? Because
Yeah.
you cannot base on the sound as much here, so you need to like kind of predict what your opponent is doing, and when you know what when is spawning what, you kind of expect the moves from your
Hmm.
opponent, right?
Yeah, because like when you have timings on pretty much the lights and the majors, you kind of
Hmm.
know where they're gonna be, and then like where they can be, or like what they could potentially do. So then it's just
Hmm.
being ready,
Hmm.
and just timing helps like so much for that.
Hmm. So I also said that I spoke with Cooler one time, and he said that for him the first frag on each map is super important, and it sets up his game. And it's kind of true for some people because some people actually like to chase frags, some people like to defend the lead. I think, for example, against Zenaku, it's super important to not give him a lead in the beginning, like 1-2
Hmm.
frags, because I think his weakest side is actually chasing the frags. I think he doesn't know how to chase frags. He always takes a lot of damage and he like chases fast forward. So how is it for you? Do you think like first frag is important, and do you like to make comebacks chasing frags, or you rather defend the lead?
Yeah, I mean, usually I like to kind of, start out, slow, like,
Hmm.
uh, like taking up, some weapons, and then, the megas, and then just kind of like, spamming, and then because the issue with like, tying early is that on many maps you can like
Hmm.
keep on like running for so long.
Hmm.
So I think it's super good to not lose frags early, and
Hmm.
then but also on some smaller maps, it's kind of fine, because then you can cycle the items, and then
Hmm.
kind of just get frags.
Yeah, like for
So
example,
on some maps, it's just kind of fine to kind of die, but then
mm,
you also kind of have to be careful, I think.
yeah, also depends how clean was the frag, right? Because if you
Yeah,
got a map like CK and you die for nothing and you're doing absolutely zero damage, it's so easy
it's
to
super bad.
snowball you and spawn frag you, and also like
Hmm.
keep the rotations of the greens and everything. It's especially very easy when you got only two greens on the map, right? Like CK.
Yeah, so that's why you have. So like that's why you also have to be timing the items, right?
Hmm.
Because when you die and then you get nothing, then you have to like wait, sometimes like 30 seconds, sometimes a whole minute, sometimes like 2 minutes, just to kind of
Before you
be
can do
able
something, yeah,
to fight again.
yeah.
So it's super good to like I don't know, just be a bit more careful, just focus on the items and not feed.
Hmm. All right, and who is your favorite for this QuakeCon and why?
Uh, my favorite is probably Raisy, and then like someone else, I think, because Raisy throughout the years has been the most consistent
Hmm.
player.
Hmm.
Pretty much, placing second for
All the time,
the
basically.
last
Yeah.
years. Like but like the issue for Raisy seems to be that someone usually peaks higher, like whether
Yeah.
it's Keltz or Rapha or Wenger.
Yeah.
They seem to like just have something special for that day, where they
Hmm.
can just kind of shine a little bit brighter.
Yeah.
Whereas Racy usually seems to have a super high baseline, but then he kind of uh, somehow cannot make it in the final.
I think that's extremely a good how you explain that. I think that's
Mhm.
exactly what I think about Razy, and that's the case with him. Um, what else? Do you think tanks will be nerfed on LAN?
I think that most tanks will just be taking more damage, right? Because
Hmm.
they are so big, but also some tanks will be played. I think like
Hmm.
mostly a scale bearer on maybe Veil,
Yeah.
just because he's still so good at just
Hmm.
kind of uh, playing slow, and then just kind of like rushing, taking
Hmm.
some items with it, and then just kind of
Hmm.
fighting around the corners and stuff. So I do think some tanks will be played, mainly
Hmm.
scale bearer, maybe clutch on some maps, but also
Hmm.
it's super risky to pick clutch.
Hmm.
So like maybe not so much. Maybe Racy
Yeah.
can play him, or
Or
you know
Strongsage can play some,
yeah.
and I think that's a big
Uh,
factor for him. And I can't wait to see how he does because I think he might have a little bit of trouble on LAN with his champion pool.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think the issue for him will be the pool, but like
Mhm.
more so his
Preference.
champion picks, because
Yeah.
like he can play ranger, he can play strong, he can play the lights as well,
Hmm.
but sometimes he kind of just picks scale, and it's not really that good,
He
I think.
probably feels more comfortable with that.
Yeah.
And also tanks fit his style because they suit his style because he's kind of aggressive player, similar to
Hmm.
Rapha. It's always easier to play super aggressive with tank because it's easy strategy. You just
Yeah.
rush, do as much damage as you can. Either you stay alive and get control, or you die and re-rush again and refrag,
Yeah.
etc. Right? So it's like very easy scenario. If you manage to qualify to the Quake
Hmm.
Pro League season, if there is any next one, what would you like to see change? Maybe you would like to see the format change, maybe switching from league to the tournament system, or maybe opening the league for more players so we can have again like Sirius and like maybe Cypher or whoever
Hmm.
can get in, so we can get the bigger viewer pool and etc.
Yeah. I do think for me the format is fine. The only real change would be the maps, I think, because like some of them
Hmm.
are really like just boring maps, and they
Hmm.
should be removed because they are like not fun to watch, really,
Hmm.
not fun to play either.
Hmm.
But I mean, apart from that, it would be nice, to have more tournaments
Yeah,
a year
agree.
instead of just having one.
Hmm.
Because, like, we have lots of good, players who can't, you know, play just because there's a limit
They
of,
only got one
like
chance
16,
per year, yeah.
players. Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then somehow you lose, and then you have to wait for like a whole year, and
Hmm.
that's like a super long time. And then you have to keep on practicing and stuff as well.
Hmm.
And there's like like we're virtually like no cups apart from
Hmm.
like smaller weeklies, which are not really like that fun
Hmm.
for most people.
Hmm.
So the only like real change would be like more cups, and then a a nicer map pool. But
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
that's what I
We'll
think.
see. I really hope for another season. I hope they're gonna announce another one, and we'll see a lot of good players. Maybe they're
Hmm.
gonna add some players. Will be great to see. Also, I want to wish you good luck. And what I would like to say in the end is, as soon as you get to the LAN, just try to set up maybe a bit earlier and play some practice games before, because you know, as I
Yeah.
remember, Lance, it's like you always like run through some problems which you never imagined. For
Hmm.
example, I don't know, you're plugging in your headsets and you realize there is no sound, or the sound is like
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
lot of bass, and then you
Mm.
go through the settings. Or for example, you're setting up and there is some funky monitor settings because
Hmm.
Kilson played before you, and Kilson has like shit tons of colors, like
Yeah.
a lot of orange, a lot of green, a lot of everything, and then you go to the M6 and you cannot see the guy on heavy when you are on the
Hmm.
banana or something. So just all those kind of things you need to like no, go one by one. Or
Yeah, yeah,
sometimes
for
you
sure.
just get into the PC and somebody like changed some setting and it didn't change on your account, and it
Hmm.
kind of feels weird. So those kind of things. So I hope you're gonna warm up really good. I wish you good luck. I hope you're gonna get to the league, because I honestly think you deserve it, because you're showing up really really good game, and I think
Hmm.
it's kind of fun game to watch. Like anytime there is some good aimer coming up, some good combat skills player, I think it's always fun to watch, and you are always playing like kind of smart. I never seen you feeding and like
Hmm.
doing like some stupid stuff, so it will be great. I'm sorry again for like redoing this and for taking again over 20 minutes. I promise it's gonna be 10, but it's like there's so
Yeah,
much
yeah,
things I
it's
want
fine.
to talk with you. So thanks a lot, and I hope everything is fine this time. It's for sure fine because I already checked it. So that was Keltz for you guys. Make sure to tune in to the QuakeCon. We are 4 days out or 5 days out. We as Endpoint gonna try to like make as much content for you as we can and come up with other interviews, other like analyzing matches and like coverage of the QuakeCon or anything we can do. Thank you, Keltz.
All right. Thank you.